All right, it's Sunday, January 19th, and just going over some progress here with the 12-volt electrical system. Like I said, this is a difficult job because we really have to think about the best way to do it, and I'd like to keep it flexible and serviceable. And when I say flexible, I mean like, designing it to add stuff later without having to like cut wires, so I think that's like serviceability is interesting. Even when you're doing a project car, you still need to implement that. So I'll show you what I've done. It's taken a long time, but I think once the electrical system is to spec, more or less, or to some reasonable degree of acceptable state, safe, and close to the manufacturer's specification, I think we'll be able to move forward a lot easier with everything else. So I still think this is the right thing to do, to spend the time now with getting the electrical system right. So I like this placement of the battery. I got a 27 series battery box instead of just that 24 series that I had. And I also have a 50 amp circuit breaker here, which I've wired in. Needs some double-sided tape, but it's nice. It's gonna look good. I've still got a little bit of flexibility there with some extra wire if I need to extend, because the wire then goes around up through the dash and down to here, leaving a little bit there if I need to change the lengths or whatever for routing, but this is pretty good just like that. Okay, so we are live now. With that, I will show you what we've got going on here. I changed this around a little bit. So this is your hot at all times coming in, and here are two copper connectors bolted together. Obviously, it would be nice to have like a junction block right on the wall, that could be the proper way to do it, but this is the closest thing that I've got to allowing flexibility, right? So we can disconnect that, and then I could put this onto a junction if I want, or something else. But right now I've got high current and the relay fuse side coming in, and then your yellow is your output here, which for now I just hooked up a butt connector. I was thinking about making this disconnectable, but there's enough wire to redo it as needed. I'm not super happy about the gauge of this wire, but I did want to keep this that connector for the relay. I just did not feel like connecting these directly to the blades of the relay was safe. I'd rather have this insulation here. So it's a short run with the thin wires, but not the best. So then this comes into power feed here. So right now the ground switch side of this relay is just screwed into the ground lugs here, and the reason for that is just so that the board is on at all times. But we're gonna figure out a better way to do that. Obviously I want to do it with the ignition switch, but I need to look at how the ignition switch is normally wired in, and for now we're just gonna be hot at all times. Now, as we discussed before, where normally we would have the hot coming in off the battery going to the back of the fuse box, which is going to be this first one, going to this position here, which is correct, and then it daisy chains off up into the light switch, this guy right here, but at least now we've got a 20 amp fuse here now coming in to the hot side, and with the primary function being the output of the lights. So side markers, tail lights, headlights, and because this switch then feeds power back into the fuse box, goes through other fuses and then out to the components. So I'm okay with that. Normally here on this position here in the fuse box would have been a hot at all time output to the horn relay, but we're redesigning that. I'm now going to have a output here that's keyed, switched, and instead of it coming off the back of this going directly to a horn relay, it's coming out of here and in to a relay. But I'm going to try to keep all the stock wiring as similar to the wiring diagram as possible. And the nice thing is, here is our horn wire, and if I just give it some power, for example, working good. Very happy about that. That's one component that is now working. And now in order to get that going too, I had to then run a ground wire from this junction box, right? Because these are our main feeds coming into the car. This one is going to be, because I want this whole box to be shut down when the key is off. I was seriously considering that, you know, you would just have to hit the circuit breaker there, which would probably be the safest bet. And in terms of flexibility, I may do that. That would be the way you would essentially shut the car off. But maybe we'll just keep that as a redundancy, right? For cutting the power at the battery pack or at the 12 volt battery. Keep this as the junction, but it also means that we're running a ground that is going up and over into that point there, which I feel okay about. It's not the best, but given that horn sounds pretty happy, we've got a good connection there, and I needed to bolt the dash down anyway, right? So I put another one on the other side. But yeah, I'm excited to kind of follow do the rest of the horn wiring. I am going to need to figure out how this is supposed to work. Obviously, I think we're missing a piece that would touch here to make the connection from here to chassis ground, because it seems that like when you push down on the steering wheel, it pushes against that. But there must be like a brush or like clock spring or something that used to be there. But maybe it's just grounded through the steering column. Wouldn't that be nice? We will find out. I'm just wondering where the ground point is, for the horn switch. But what a cool way, if these horn switches all could work, that would be really nice. And had my friend over today. We were just kind of discussing maybe move the center dial up, but fuel and water temp are going to be important. Those two switches are going to be for the water pump and the vacuum pump for now, until we put a steering wheel stereo in. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, this is taking a long time because I'm having to, redesign the electrical system a little bit, and I feel good about that. But there's a lot of kind of like back and forth. Do I want to provide power at all times to that junction box,